Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond Sunday Morning, a weekly video series that we've created in order to inspire, inform, and impact your life in ways that you never imagined possible. When we inspire, we breathe life into, we look around, we see things in a different way from a different perspective. When we inform, we invite you to think differently, to see the decisions that you make and the impact that they will have in the long term. And then to impact your life by choosing wisely, not only in your life, but in the lives of those that you meet in a weekly event, in a weekly circumstances. We like to think of this as caffeine for the soul, an opportunity to jumpstart your life in ways that you never imagined possible. So this week we've been looking at the story of Gideon in Judges chapter 6 and chapter 7. In the story of Judges, Judges is a story of people that are apathetic, people that don't look around them, not able to see the events and the decisions and the impact that they will have. People that have sort of an attitude, an arrogance, if you will, that says, my way is the better way. I don't need God. I can do things all on my own. In the book of Judges, in two different places, as a matter of fact, in Judges chapter 17, verses 6, and in 21:25, it gives us a glimpse into why people are living this way. And maybe we can learn from their example. It says very bluntly, they did what was right in their own eyes. And everything fell from that. They found themselves in a cycle. From time and time again, they would rise up and then things would collapse and they would cry out to God. Well, in our story of Gideon, we began to look at the impact that God was inviting people to see themselves differently. He's inviting us to see our journey differently. We picked it up as we began thinking about us as the last remnant, God's chosen people in this place, in this church, to do what only we can do. And so as we begin our story today from Judges chapter 6 and chapter 7, we begin with the Israelites are under siege from the Midianites. The Israelites are living up in caves as the Midianites come down and take all of their crops that they've worked hard for. Their success is given to somebody else, and they wonder, God, where are you? Have you ever been in that kind of place? God, where are you in my life? Things are falling apart. They never acknowledge the impact that they have had, the choices that they have made that led up to this. They only see that God should have saved them, perhaps from themselves. So often we fail to learn from our own mistakes. One of the great things about being people that are responsible is that we're able to learn from our mistakes and we get better. That is a sign of maturity. How are we growing? How are we learning from those that have come before us? Somebody once told me that, you can't defeat your demons if you're still enjoying their company. Think about that for a moment. Is it that you want certain things to fall away and you want your life to be better, but you still enjoy the fruits of those demons from time to time? You can't be a part-time Christian, you can't be a part-time spouse, and you can't be a part-time parent. Oftentimes it requires us to be all in, and that's what Gideon is inviting us to do. Now, in our story of Gideon, I want us to look at a couple of key things this week, and particularly in your own life. First of all, Gideon has a plan, right? He is going to attack the Midianites. Just like we've always done, we're going to go back to the good old days, just the tried and true methods that have always worked in the past. So he calls together an army of about 32,000. Now you might think that that sounds like a great number, but the Midianites are many times that number. And besides, God has a different plan. Now the interesting thing is God never reveals that plan to Gideon until the very end. You have to trust me. Sometimes following God means you trust Him with stuff that you do not know. You trust His heart when you can't see the path. That's the nature of true faith. That's the value of what Gideon is doing. And so he has 32,000. He understands how to attack using the gifts, the talents, the resources that he has, but God has a different plan. This is where the test comes. Again, somebody once told me, a faith that has not been tested is a faith that cannot be trusted. Faith is a relationship. And when we go through hard times, we find out what we really believe. Are we willing to trust God when the chips are really down? Well, Gideon has 32,000, and God says, you got too many. All of those that are afraid to go into battle, you can go home. It's the classic fear factor. We live in a culture now that is divided because we're so fearful. We're fearful of the other side. We're fearful of going down our own streets. When I was a kid, we never locked our doors. We always went out from day to dusk. We just ran because we trusted one another. In this story, Gideon is inviting those that are fearful, those that are afraid to risk, to get involved. You can go home. The challenge for us is that where we would cut off? We're afraid to take that extra step, whether it's a Bible study class, whether it's a ministry team, whether it's giving of our gifts, our time, and our talents. We're afraid what other people might say. And 22,000, 2/3, 66% walked away. And you might think that Gideon is losing his mind. God, there is absolutely no way we can win with 10,000 guys. God said, absolutely. Not the way you have it planned. But when you're on God's side, when you're partnering with Him, you're the majority. When you have God on your side and you are part of His team, of course you are a supermajority. God has a plan and will not abandon us. Well, he's down to 10,000, and finally he comes to Gideon and he said, Gideon, I still think you have too many guys. He said, I want you to take them down. And there's this very strange story about them going down to the water and cupping their hands or just putting their entire face down. Now, part of the story that we hear about that is that oftentimes, if you remember, the Midianites are camped right across this valley. So to kind of be on the alert, be aware of their surroundings, be alert of the potential and the possibilities. To be alert, be ready, to take initiative. Leadership is about being proactive, about reading the sign of the times. Remember that story from Jesus? He said, how is it that you can read the weather, you can see the storm clouds, but you cannot read the sign of the times? Are we ready as United Methodist Temple to begin to look around at our community, the events that are swirling, and say, do you not see that the fields are ripe for harvest? So many were not aware. They just weren't looking. They just were not ready. They're waiting for somebody else to take the initiative. And God said they can go home too. So we've gone from 32,000 to 300, and there is no way 300 marching against the 10,000 or the 100,000 Midianites is ever going to win. That's where God has a completely different plan, one that Gideon never imagined, never thought possible, and that's where God begins our story. So here's the challenge for all of us. Are you ready to grow in a brand new way? Are you ready to put the past behind you? Are you ready to say, God, I'm not sure where we're going with this, but I'm all in. I want to be a part of the core. I want to be a part of that 300 that does what nobody else said could be done. This is a story of not just thinning the herd, but of inspiring us that God can do amazing things with just a few. Over the past several years, because of COVID, certainly, because of political, social, economic upheavals, our numbers have dropped. And we can bemoan that, and we can say, oh, woe is me. Or we can say, I believe God is on the move. Things are about to happen. And friends, I hope that you'll be a part of it. I hope that you will get involved and take that next step. Be proactive. Take the initiative, and you will feel the energy that comes. You see, I feel that there is nothing in life that is more energizing than serving God's noble purpose, eternal, glorifying purpose with friends. That's what we're inviting you into. That's what Temple is all about. Well, friends, that means going beyond Sunday morning, going beyond the walls to your mission field right where you are. If you're ready to take that step, I want to hear from you. Send me an email, send me a link, whatever it is, and we'll get you connected here at Temple. Hey friends, until next time, let's go beyond Sunday morning.